Mandy, answer me. Why is an unfamiliar elderly couple now residing in the luxurious $1 million lakeside property I purchased for you? Her words instantly silenced the cheerful Thanksgiving gathering. Clink. A sharp, empty sound echoed. Opposite me, my father George let the knife slip from his fingers, clattering onto his plate. I froze mid-motion, fork with a piece of pumpkin pie halfway to my lips, and slowly raised my eyes. Grandmother Dorothy, freshly returned from years abroad, stared straight through me, her gaze pinning my sister Ashley seated beside me, then sweeping to our parents. She appeared far more stern than I remembered, surrounded by an intimidating presence that discouraged casual approach. "Grandma, what did you just say?" My voice quivered. The statement felt far too surreal for someone like me, who struggled to scrape together money even for today's meal. "Didn't you hear me, Mandy? I'm referring to the lakeside retreat home, the one I bought for you 3 years ago as your future security." Her tone stayed composed, yet beneath it simmered something volcanic. "Grandma, there must be some misunderstanding." I gathered every ounce of courage to speak. My heart hammered wildly. "I don't possess any property. No vacation residence, not even my own apartment. Right now I'm essentially homeless, evicted last month and couch surfing with friends ever since." "What?" Grandmother's eyebrow twitched. "I sensed something was off the moment I arrived. I decided to stop by as a surprise. You weren't there. Instead, a strange older couple opened the door. They claimed to be the parents of Ashley's husband, Kevin. Ashley, would you kindly explain this situation?" From the corner of my eye, I saw Ashley's hand shaking as she clutched her wine glass. "Ashley!" I turned sharply toward her. Her eyes darted frantically, breaths coming short and shallow. "Grandma!" Ashley almost shrieked. That has to be a mistake. Perhaps you mixed up the address. There are so many similar homes in that area, and you've just returned. You must be exhausted from the journey." "That's correct, Mom," my mother Sandra quickly interjected. Sweat glistened on her brow. "It's only jet lag. Your recollections got jumbled. Come now, the turkey is getting cold." Silence. Grandmother's command crashed down like a physical strike, cutting off Sandra mid-sentence. Despite her age, her voice carried such force that the entire table flinched. My mind remains sharp. The address, the appearance, everything matched the residence I contracted for. "And beyond that?" She reached into her purse, withdrew a photograph, and slid it across the table. "This is what Kevin's parents, who are occupying that house, told me. We are staying in this home owned by our son's wife, Ashley." The instant those words hit, every trace of color vanished from Ashley's face. The photo showed a stunning lakeside mansion. In front stood Ashley, her husband Kevin, and his parents, all smiling for the camera. "Shall we discuss this picture?" Confronted with undeniable proof, the atmosphere thickened with tension. I stared at the image, questioning my own vision. It was the exact property Ashley had flaunted on social media years earlier, with the caption #MyNewVacationHome, back when I was exhausting myself with 3 part-time jobs. That was supposed to be my house. What is happening here? I rose to my feet. "Mom, Dad, what does this mean? Grandma purchased a home for me, so why am I currently living like I have nowhere to go?" At my question, Father averted his gaze uncomfortably. Mom, it's a complicated matter. Today is Thanksgiving. Discussing finances during family dinner isn't really suitable, is it? We can talk it over properly tomorrow in my study." Grandmother cut him off icily. "No, we resolve this entirely right here, right now. Mandy, you truly know nothing about the $1 million retreat I arranged for you 3 years ago, or how it was misused." $1 million. The room tilted. That morning, my bank balance had shown $12.50, working multiple jobs, sacrificing rest, only to see earnings vanish into student loans and basic survival. $1 million was an unimaginable sum. I know absolutely nothing. I've never laid eyes on any vacation property, and no one ever informed me that such a gift existed. Hearing this, Grandmother's expression softened briefly with a flicker of compassion, though it quickly hardened again as she turned to my parents. "George, Sandra, you assured me, didn't you? You said Mandy suffered from serious mental instability and couldn't responsibly handle a large sum. You claimed you would serve as her guardians and oversee the property until she became self-sufficient." "What?" I could scarcely believe the words. Wait, Mom, Dad, when was I ever declared mentally unstable? I graduated at the top of my class and have worked tirelessly ever since. I've never caused you any trouble. "Mandy, calm yourself," my mother murmured, her eyes holding not concern but a clear warning. "Don't say anything more. You're becoming agitated right now. See? This is precisely the instability we meant." "Don't you dare!" I shot to my feet. The chair crashed backward. "I am completely stable. You are the ones who are twisted. When I couldn't pay rent, you told me I wasn't trying hard enough and needed to stand on my own, didn't you? Yet secretly, you transferred a house registered in my name to Ashley." "Mandy, how dare you speak to your parents that way?" Father bellowed, pounding the table. "We acted in your best interest. You lack the capacity to manage wealth, so we entrusted it to Ashley." In my best interest. The sheer absurdity numbed me beyond tears. "Oh, enough already!" Ashley suddenly exploded. "A dull, ordinary girl like you doesn't deserve such a gorgeous place. We simply made good use of it. You ought to be grateful." "Ashley, you—" My sight blurred with fury. My body shook. "This is supposed to be family. Is this how blood relatives treat one another?" "Enough." Grandmother's voice sliced cleanly through the chaos. She rose slowly, supporting herself on her cane, and approached me. Then she rested a gentle hand on my trembling shoulder. "Mandy is correct. The rest of you are corrupt, thoroughly rotten." "Mom, that's excessive," Father protested, face contorted. "We did it all for the family's sake." Grandmother regarded him with icy disdain. "There is no family here, only scavengers who preyed on their own granddaughter's asset. Tonight, everything ends." She drew a smartphone from her pocket and tapped a speed dial. "Come in now. Yes, immediately." The front door swung open, admitting a rush of cold night air and a man, Mr. Watson, grandmother's trusted attorney. He carried a thick briefcase. "Mrs. Hanson, I have all the paperwork as requested," he announced formally, placing a heavy stack on the table. "What is all this?" Father stumbled back. "George, Sandra, Ashley," grandmother proclaimed, "I will now detail every fraudulent action you committed, one document at a time. Do not imagine you can avoid accountability." I brushed away tears and straightened. The warmth of grandmother's hand steadied me. This was no moment for weeping. It was time to ensure they faced justice. In the hushed room, a small, cold laugh escaped me. I stood slowly, shedding the facade of the terrified victim I had worn until now. Pretending to dab my eyes with a napkin, I surveyed my family with detached, unforgiving eyes. "That's enough pretending, Grandma." "Indeed, Mandy, I've enjoyed the performance thoroughly," she replied, stepping solidly beside me, cane tapping the floor. My parents and Ashley stared in stunned silence at our abrupt shift. "Huh? Mandy, why are you smiling?" Mother asked, voice shaking. "Don't you understand? You were all being played," I said coldly. I pressed on without pity. "A week ago, Grandma reached out, not through you, but via my aunt. She said, 'It appears the family has been intercepting my correspondence and deliberately isolating you.' From that point, we knew the full truth, and that's why we orchestrated tonight's so-called Thanksgiving dinner. We waited for the exact moment you would lower your defenses and admit your crimes yourselves." "What? We were set up?" Father paled and tried to rise. "Sit." One word from grandmother pinned him back down. "This isn't finished. In fact, it's only starting. Mr. Watson, proceed." "Shall we begin with the falsified gift deed? Handwriting examination is complete." Mr. Watson placed a key document in the center. It was the property record. This residence, Lakeside Manor, was originally acquired by Mrs. Hanson in Mandy Hanson's name. However, the current title holder is Ashley Thompson, your younger daughter. Transfer occurred October 15th, 3 years ago, for the nominal sum of $1 as a supposed gift. $1. That was the price they placed on my existence. I stared at the date. 3 years ago, precisely when I graduated college and began drowning in student debt and survival costs, the moment my life veered off course. I always felt something was deeply wrong, I said quietly. I finished university at the top. Professors wrote glowing recommendations. I reached final interviews at major firms, yet every single one rejected me without reason. I fixed my gaze on Father. He looked away. Around then, anonymous messages were sent to those companies' HR departments claiming Mandy Hansen had severe psychological issues and had been a problem student. What are you implying? He attempted innocence. IP addresses don't lie, Dad. Those emails originated from this house during hours you were in your study. You deliberately sabotaged my career, didn't you? Because if I achieved independence, you could no longer exploit my name for fraud. No, it was for your benefit. And you, Mom. I turned to her. Now I see why, despite endless work, I never accumulated savings and constantly failed credit checks. Mr. Watson produced bank records. This is the account Mandy used for student loan repayments. She deposited earnings monthly from part-time jobs, yet the money was automatically rerouted, not to the lender, but to a concealed account in Mrs. Hansen's name. Mother gasped. Meanwhile, Mom, you repeatedly told me I wasn't trying hard enough, that I should emulate Ashley. Because of you, I was flagged as a default risk. I couldn't secure decent housing. You ruined my credit. You forced me into endless jobs while living in constant fear of homelessness. My poverty wasn't misfortune or laziness. It was a deliberate trap constructed by my own parents. And you, Ashley? I faced my sister. She glared as though she were the injured party. Kevin's parents live in my vacation home, correct? So what? Ashley jutted her chin. They retired and wanted peace, so I allowed them to stay. What's wrong with that? Better than the place sitting vacant. You allowed them for free? I arched an eyebrow. Of course, they're family. Don't lie. I nodded to Mr. Watson. He presented the next file without comment. These are transfer logs for an account in Ashley Thompson's name. On the first of each month, $5,000 arrives from Kevin Thompson's parents. Purpose listed, rent. Grandmother spoke first. So, Ashley, you not only stole Mandy's house, you then extracted rent from your in-laws as well. No, that was upkeep costs. It's a massive property. Maintenance isn't cheap. And Kevin's parents are wealthy. $5,000 monthly means nothing to them. That isn't the issue, I said softly but firmly. You took my home without consent and profited $5,000 every month. Meanwhile, the legitimate owner could barely afford groceries. Did you know that? Ashley's gaze flickered away. Mom, listen. Father leaned in, attempting damage control. Yes, perhaps our methods were harsh, but consider the result. The house stays in excellent condition. Ashley's in-laws are content. Isn't that ultimately better for everyone than Mandy living there alone? We can always compensate Mandy later, a severance amount, and close the matter. A severance? Grandmother repeated, voice low. The stem of her wine glass creaked under pressure. While my granddaughter teetered on the edge of the streets, you luxuriated on her asset, and now you propose settling with a payout. But Mom, Mandy is still young. Adversity builds resilience, doesn't it? Silence. Grandmother's roar filled the room. I wrote Mandy monthly. I asked, "How is the house? Are you facing difficulties?" Yet I received no reply. Instead, George repeatedly assured me, "Mandy is too unstable even to send a thank you note." I shook my head. Not one letter ever reached me. Of course not, Grandmother said coldly, facing my parents. Every letter I sent went to this address. You claimed Mandy was unstable and that you would hold them for her. And you never provided her true address. You destroyed my correspondence and severed all contact between us, didn't you? That's because you seemed so occupied overseas. Mother began shouting. The reason Grandmother and I had lost touch was no longer a puzzle. Physical distance plus the malicious barrier my parents erected explained everything, exposing the full extent of their malice. No more excuses, I said, inhaling deeply and signaling Mr. Watson. Let's establish the legal facts. He displayed the alleged transfer agreement Ashley relied on for her ownership claim. Miss Thompson, you earlier asserted this document proves a legitimate transfer from Mandy 3 years ago, correct? Yes, just look at the date, Ashley cried, drenched in perspiration. Indeed, it states so. We will address handwriting presently, but first, forensic analysis of the paper. He activated a magnified view. Beneath the fibers appeared a faint grid of microscopic yellow dots. These are printer tracking dots, embedded by many color laser printers, encoding serial number, date, and time of printing. Ashley's jaw dropped. Analysis shows this document was printed exactly 6 months ago. How curious, I said with a frigid smile. Why would a contract supposedly executed 3 years ago be printed on paper from just 6 months back? I continued deliberately. In other words, this deed was fabricated 6 months ago. I looked from father to mother to Ashley, and I know precisely why you rushed to forge it then. Father's face drained of color. 6 months ago, Grandma informed you her overseas work was stabilizing and she might return home soon, correct? I pressed. You panicked. Until then, you had illegally occupied my house, treating it as Ashley's based solely on verbal claims. But Grandma's return and a title check would expose everything, so you hastily created documents for legal cover. That's not, but asking me to sign would reveal the scheme. So Ashley mimicked my handwriting and backdated the signature. Isn't that right? Father clutched his head and groaned. I had struck the truth. For 3 years they operated freely, assuming grandmother would never return. Her potential homecoming triggered panic, and that panic produced their critical error. Mr. Watson continued relentlessly. Handwriting comparison shows this signature matches Ashley Thompson's with 99% probability. This constitutes forgery of an official document. Furthermore, Miss Thompson falsely posed as Mandy's guardian and withdrew $1 million from Mandy's account under the guise of property upkeep, amounting to fraud and misappropriation. Prison, this can't be happening. Ashley trembled violently. Dad, say something. You told me. Backdate it and we'll be safe. You fool! Keep quiet, Father roared. But it was far too late. Authorities have already been alerted, Mr. Watson stated calmly. Miss Thompson, criminal proceedings commence immediately. No, no, no. Ashley clutched her head and sobbed. Dad ordered me. He said Mandy's too dumb to notice. Just copy her signature. I only followed instructions. What? You're betraying your own father? Father bellowed. But it's true. Mom agreed too. She laughed and said Mandy would never repay her loans anyway, so we might as well benefit ourselves. Ashley, stop talking, Mother shrieked, lunging toward her. The scene turned grotesquely ugly. The same people who moments earlier preached family unity now frantically blamed one another, scrambling to evade responsibility. Grandmother observed with frigid detachment. Enough. I have witnessed sufficient of your depravity. Do not further disgrace this table. She turned to the attorney. Mr. Watson, the updated will is finalized? Yes, Mrs. Hanson. He produced fresh papers. This latest testament fully revokes inheritance rights of George Hanson, Sandra Hanson, and Ashley Thompson, including Ashley's spouse, and names Miss Mandy Hanson sole beneficiary of the entire estate. The entire estate? My parents cried in unison. Mom, please wait. Anything but that. We're sorry. We've learned our lesson. Please reconsider. Pride had vanished. Only desperation for money remained. Mother joined in. I'm so sorry, Mom. It was a moment of weakness. I'll never repeat it. Please think again. From above, Grandmother answered in glacial tones. If you seek forgiveness, address it to Mandy. She is the victim, not I. Their eyes, my parents' and Ashley's, turned to me in unison, pleading, ingratiating, still laced with that entitled certainty that family meant automatic absolution. I slowly lifted my wine glass, took a sip, and offered a sweet smile. No, I possess no mercy for you, only an invoice. I accepted the final document from Mr. Watson. This is a formal demand for restitution of unjust gains over 3 years, plus compensation for emotional harm. Total due, $2 million. Payment required by tomorrow, or criminal prosecution proceeds without delay. $2 million? Father screamed. We don't have that kind of money. Then liquidate what you do have, I replied coldly. Your home, vehicles, jewelry, and the house Kevin's parents occupy. They vacate immediately. No, Ashley crumpled to the floor. If I evict them, Kevin will divorce me. That's your concern, Ashley, not mine. I cut her off without warmth. When I lost employment and my credit was shattered, did any of you care? No, you mocked me. Now experience that same despair. At that moment, a firm knock sounded. 2 sheriff's deputies entered the dining room. Ashley Thompson, you are to accompany us to the station. No, help me, I did nothing wrong, Ashley wailed as they led her away. Next, my still-stunned parents were handcuffed. Mandy, I'm sorry. Mandy. Mother sobbed, gazing at me through tears. I was wrong. Please drop the charges. Goodbye, Mom, I said, never breaking eye contact. Count the lines on your face in prison. You'll have ample time. As the sirens receded, only grandmother, Mr. Watson, and I remained in the vast dining room. I exhaled deeply, not from fatigue, but from liberation, as though a long curse had dissolved. It's finished, Grandma. Yes, she said softly, drawing me into an embrace. Actually, no, it's only beginning. Your true life starts now. 1 year later. I stand on the wooden deck of Lakeside Manor. This place is genuinely mine. Ashley, her husband, and his parents were evicted within 72 hours of that night. His parents insisted they had been misled into believing the house belonged to their daughter-in-law and portrayed themselves as victims too. Yet because they resided there aware the rent was suspiciously low and documentation flawed, they faced questioning as possible accomplices. Ashley received a 3-year prison sentence and is currently serving time. She divorced Kevin and was left bankrupt by damages and legal expenses. My parents lost all social standing, relatives severed ties completely. Father's business collapsed, and I hear they now scrape by in a modest apartment. I neither know nor wish to know their current contact details. As for me, I launched a new venture from this peaceful home: online consulting, financial guidance, and support for victims of similar betrayal. When I began openly sharing my ordeal, the response overwhelmed me. Soon my calendar filled months ahead, and my earnings multiplied many times over what I once made juggling 3 jobs. I depend on no one. True financial independence is mine. On weekends, grandmother visits. We sit by the fireplace, conversing and laughing, reclaiming the 3 years stolen from us. One evening, gazing serenely across the lake, she said, "You didn't merely recover the future they took. Through honesty and bravery, you constructed an even more radiant one." This is my home, the place I defend, the place I cherish. I'm happy, Grandma, I said with complete sincerity.